Now, the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, is expected to hold a press conference today to register their displeasure with the new licensure exam policy announced by the National Teaching Council. NAGRAT says proper consultation was not done by the council, and so the details of the policy are unknown to the teaching public. The licensure exam will see teachers sitting for separate professional qualification after graduating from universities and colleges of education and subsequently renewing their obtained license periodically. Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has also said challenges faced with the teachers in Ghana should be addressed before such a policy is introduced. Now, before we go into the details of what NAGRAT will be saying at the press conference, we've been joined in the studio by education consultant Dr. Prince Armah, who believes the National Teaching Council itself has some questions to answer. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, so what are your questions about this policy?
Well, I will start by saying that myself being a licensed teacher, there is no way I would say that it's not a good policy. I belong to the General Teaching Council for Scotland. I also hold a qualifying teaching status in England. And so for someone with a license to teach elsewhere, I embrace this policy. And I've actually authored a policy document on this. I did that last year. And I handed a copy to the then Executive Secretary, Dr. Augustine Tewia, for them to peruse and see how to operationalize the policy.
Who is now the Deputy Ranking Member of the Education Committee of Parliament.
Exactly. Now, the first point I raised was the independence of the National Teaching Council. You see, the theoretical understanding previously was whether teaching was a vocation or a profession. And so now that we have moved towards the general understanding that teaching is a profession, there is that emergence of teaching councils. And the oldest teaching council in the world, as we speak, is the General Teaching Council for Scotland. And many other teaching councils, like the one in New Zealand, Ontario, Regina in Canada, Australia, many of them, including South Africa and the rest, many of them were modeled alongside the General Teaching Council for Scotland. And many of these councils attend or visit Scotland to try to see how they can contextualize their model in Ghana. If we look at our model, the National Teaching Council is being portrayed as an appendage of the Ministry of Education. We have to ask ourselves, for example, is the General Legal Council an appendage of the Ministry of Justice?
Why do you say it's an appendage of the ministry?
Is it a body of the Ministry of Justice? These are independent bodies. I don't think that the Medical and Dental Council is a body of the Ministry of Health, or that they take instruction from the Ministry of Health. What the National Teaching Council ought to do is to be an independent, autonomous body, independent of the Ministry of Education, and to be able to set standards and regulate the profession in a manner that they prescribed. At the moment, there was a specific section in the Education Act that made the Teaching Council more or less like a part or a body of the Ministry of Education. And so you
the
hear
ministry has oversight over the Teaching Council.
So you see that when people report, they say National Teaching Council of the Ministry of Education. The name National Teaching Council, the nomenclature itself creates a problem. So first, we have to look at the structure of the council. As we speak now, it appears to have some political arrangement, because if you don't take time, any time there's a change in government, the council will be dissolved. The last council was dissolved. It was headed by Mr. Adai Chreme. He was the chairman, and he's currently the programs manager for the TTEL project. So that was dissolved, and now a new council has been, established or inaugurated, commissioned last week. So we have to look at that in the first place. That is the structure of the,
the organization
We
itself.
are the only teaching council that has a title of the leader as executive secretary. All over the teaching councils we have, they are headed by CEOs. The nomenclature itself has meaning. You understand? Because they are headed by CEOs, and you know the roles CEOs perform, and the whole business ideas that engulfs the processes of the council. So that's one thing we have to look at. The second thing we have to look at is the procedures and operationalization of the council's work. The council is supposed to register. That's one aspect of its operations, to register teachers. In registering teachers, the law allows the council to stipulate or formulate policies, programs, procedures for the registration. All right.
And
so
is this licensure exam one of these procedures under this process of someone becoming a teacher?
I can tell you in confidence that the council has not taken any such decision. Now, if you look at the first news report that came, the report came from My Joy Online, and it quoted Dr. Augustine Teria as the executive secretary designate. So I was trying to look at the date for publication, because each time this story comes up, there's always apprehension and contestation from the teacher union. So I looked at the date, and it was in the, actually just last week. Now, the program under which they said that he communicated that didn't take place. I haven't seen any such program taking place. Two, the person who is supposed to have said that they are going to write exams is not the executive secretary. As you know, as I've just said, he was a former executive. So I doubt the authenticity of the story in the first place. The second point is the council has just been inaugurated, and they will decide the procedure for licensing the teachers, registering the teachers.
Doctor, I would ask you to hold on there. We have on the line with us the ranking member of the Education Committee of Parliament, Peter Nochu-Kotui. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I hope you are yourself. Now, this
very well.
This licensure exam has come to meet so much opposition, and we have here with us Dr. Prince Sama, who is questioning in the first place the National Teaching Council in the first place, which has announced that this licensure exam would be organized. He is saying that this teaching council itself should not run under the Ministry of Education, and he's questioning whether the teaching council in itself is the one which is pushing this idea of a licensure exam. Do you have a view on this?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I have listened to a number of discussions on the licensing of teachers. Yeah, what I know so far is that if you look at the Education Act, there's a provision there for the licensed teachers some years ago or a few years ago. And this is the time they want to implement it. But I don't have any argument against the licensing of teachers, but it's a modality. Because in the provision of the Act, the teacher unions were consulted on a broad-based consultation activities. So their inputs were taken during that process. So if they are against it now, it would be very unfortunate. But if it is the process, that is the modality, well, I will support them in that direction, because they have gone through a number of years of training. And if you want to license them, what is the basis to write examinations again? They have a number of assessments they can do, and then approve them or give them the license.
Right.
Honorable. Hello, yes.
Yeah, Honorable, is this issue of consultation which has raised all this controversy? Because in the first place, the teachers who are members of the National Teaching Council are coming out to say this decision was not made as the National Teaching Council meeting. I was here yesterday with a member of the council, the General Secretary of NAGRAT, who was saying that he was not aware. He went for meetings, ideas came up, he said he proffered opinions. Next thing he knows, an announcement is being made that it's a decision being made by the National Teaching Council.
I'll be surprised to hear that they are not aware, because I remember I know very well that when bills are brought to Parliament, we do a lot of consultation, especially those who are affected directly, to get their input before the bills finally pass into law. So,
Honorable, he has not said that he is not aware. What he said is that they went for a meeting, no decision was taken. Now, it's been made to look like this same meeting he went for decided that they want this policy and it's going to start in so and so and so dates, which is what ties into what Dr. Armah is saying here, that the teaching council has actually taken a decision on the licensure exam.
Okay, I now understand it. So then that means they'll have to go back to the negotiation table with the teacher union and come up with the modalities so that they can come to a concrete agreement. Because if they are not involved at this level, implementing it will be very difficult. Who is going to pay for the cost of the examination? Is it the teacher? So I believe that they should go back to the executive committee level and then make sure that this decision is arrived at with the consensus of all teacher unions, because it will be unfair to impose any examination on them without thorough discussion with those who are affected directly.
So, as the ranking member of the Education Committee of Parliament, what do you know about the genesis of this policy and of the National Teaching Council?
Well, we are yet to be briefed by the intentions of the council. We have summoned them to a program at the end of this month for them to brief us on their programs and activities. So I hope when they appear before the committee, we will listen to them carefully and then make our points known to them. And this is one of the issues that we will thoroughly interrogate when they appear before us.
Right. Honorable, just hold on a minute. Dr. Armah, do you have any inputs before we let Honorable go?
Well, I mean, as I have said, I doubt where the story is coming from in the first place. We are interrogating, for me, we are interrogating non-existing issue. One, if you look at the story that came, teachers to write license exams on the 15th of July, it's the 15th of August, 2017, and it reads, the National Teachers Council of the Ministry of Education has announced that teachers will now have to pass special examination before being granted the license to teach. And then the story continues. Dr. Augustine Teria, Executive Secretary Designate of the National Teaching Council of the Ministry of Education, disclosed this in Accra last week at a closing ceremony of a 5-day intensive in-service training workshop for teachers in Greater Accra region. This hasn't happened. Actually, so I have a problem with where the source of this. So as far as I know, and with the full force of my knowledge of the operations of the National Teaching Council, I will say, without fear of contradiction, that the council has not taken any such decision. The council was inaugurated last week. They could not. That's why all the teacher unions are up in arms and contesting the idea.
It's interesting because we have Dr. Evelyn Odro has also made a similar statement that such and such a licensure exam will be taking place, who is now the Executive Secretary of the Teaching Council.
Dr. Evelyn Odro, I have also had contact when this story came, and she has confirmed that the decision to write exams will be confirmed by the council. Okay. But let's go into whether or not it's appropriate to write the exams. That's the key issues.
All right.
You see,
let me take the final words from the Honorable Peter Noju Kotwe before I come to you for that. Honorable.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't know if there's a Dr. Teria who is now a member of Parliament that you are talking about.
Yes.
Yes. Your deputy ranking member. Yes.
Yeah, he is no more the executive secretary of that council. I know Dr. T is now a member of parliament. He is my even deputy ranking member. Now, the writing of the examination is the issue. What is the criteria for the writing of the examination? If they have qualified as teachers, why don't you base it on that assessment and then grant them the license to begin with, so that the subsequent years you decide on what criteria you use to license it? I know in developed countries they do it. We don't need to just copy them anyhow. We must approach it in a way that will benefit both the teacher and then the Minister of Education and the child. So I will appeal that we look at it critically, look at other means of licensing our teachers and forcing them now to write examination at the moment.
Right. So just to be clear, you are not for writing a paper and pen examination to take a license?
Yeah, that will not be good for now. Yeah, that's my point.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Peter Nosikotoe. Dr. Armah, let me come back to you for a few additions to this before we go.
Well, I think that it will be superfluous to request teachers to write exams. Now, I will explain this in brief. First, the National Teaching Council is expected to develop standards. I told you that they do the registration, and beyond that, they do certain standards. Now, when they set the standards will be the basis for teacher education providers, including universities, colleges of education, to follow. So what it means is that they define who a teacher is. So they say that a teacher is somebody who must have acquired this specific knowledge in a subject matter content and this specific experience or knowledge in pedagogical approaches, and then this specific professional values and attitudes. Now, once they've defined those standards and they have handed over to the teacher education providers, the teacher education providers will now deliver programs based on that. At the moment, we have very uncoordinated teacher education program. UCC, Winneba, almost everybody doing different things at different times. And so that their work is supposed to bring synchronization into all of these things. Now, once you have done that and they are training the people according to these standards, it becomes superfluous to then go and write examination. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Now, the examination is one-shot exams. Examination cannot determine whether the person is a good teacher or not. What is important is that once they finish their teacher education program, you put them on a probation. You give them provisional license. Then you set a standard for full registration, 1 year. So in the 1 year, they have to meet these standards of full registration. The standards will include they providing portfolio of the activities. The
you can take a more detailed, careful analysis of their work before you license them.
Exactly, because at the moment it seems we are too much on exams, almost everything.
That one-shot exam. I think the Honorable Nosikotoe agrees with you, and we'll definitely be hearing some more about this later. Thank you very much, Dr. Prince Armah. He's an education consultant helping us here with this issue.